sang this song to me. There was a message in his melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. He said, tomorrow is another day, living is the only way tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be
Greetings and welcome to everyone who's listening to this show today or even later. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and we have a great guest with us today. So as you see, the title is Mindset, Movement, and Mastery, Keys to Destroy Diabetes with Dr. Keith Hersey, and I'm so happy to have him. I'm going to read a little bit of his bio because I think it's incredibly interesting, so you'll know exactly who you're talking to. So Dr. Keith Hersey is a former pharmaceutical diabetics coach and host of the Destroying Diabetes podcast. With over 20 years of lived experience managing type 2 diabetes, he blends clinical understanding with personal insight to help busy professionals and healthcare workers stabilize their blood sugar and reclaim their energy. Through his platform, MasterYourGLP.com, he guides clients to master their medications, reduce side effects, and create realistic routines that fit their lives and not fight them. Thank you for joining me today. I think this is just an awesome thing that you're doing because diabetes is actually destroying the lives of a lot of people that we love, and then some people that we don't even know. But I think that you would let me know here that there are things that we can do. So I wanted to share that with the audience.
Oh, right. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm always glad to spread the word about type 2 diabetes. It's one of the leading chronic diseases in our country. A lot of times that even with pre-diabetes, it's estimated, I think it's probably even this estimate is on the low side. It's estimated that 1 in 3 people in the United States has at least pre-diabetes and not aware of it. So it's like it's out there epidemic, but then it's also a hidden one as well, because a lot of people don't know that they have it unless they experience like severe symptoms or something else happens, and they may discover it through blood tests for something else. And in my own journey, I discovered I didn't know I had diabetes. I discovered I was at a diabetes. It was a diabetes conference for pharmacists. It was like a continuing education. And one of the vendors happened to had blood glucose monitor. So they were trying to show off their new monitor. And so they were testing, people could come to the table and test their blood glucose. So I just went on. It was between lectures. So I went over there and they tested mine, and my blood glucose was like highly elevated. And I tried to throw it off at first because I was saying like, well, we just ate lunch, and I had a lot of snacks and cakes and things or whatever. And the person looked at me, he's like, this is more than some snacks and cakes. You probably need to see somebody, like with it being like this thing or whatever. And so that was even my first discovery, was just by accident. And that's, I'm afraid that's like a lot of people that may not know that they have it. I had some of the symptoms, but I brushed them off as just thing like more frequent urination is a big thing. Just excessive thirst, That's another thing that you're always thirsty, seems like. So though I kind of brushed those off early on, but then when I went and got checked and diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic, and then I had a family history of it, so I should have known even more. My father was a type 2 diabetic as well. Growing up, I used to see him give himself uh, insulin shots because that really, at that time, that really was the only treatment for it, like as far as medication. And so I did. I'm always that's kind of like my passion. Trying to, because I know I lived with it for over 20 years. I know I've been there, been in denial of it. Like I said, I discovered it just by chance, and I just want others to, learn more about it. If you're in the stage where you're pre-diabetic, there's things that you can do to keep it from developing into diabetes. If you have type 2 diabetes, there are things you can do to control it, kind of mitigate the symptoms. Some people can get to even to a point where they can possibly reduce their medications or eliminate them altogether. But that's kind of where I come from.
Now, I know your journey started from a pharmacist, but now you are a diabetes coach and a podcast host. So, what inspired the journey? Uh, what took you through from just being a pharmacist and talking about it to wanting to actually be a coach and a podcast host?
Oh, yeah. So I really uh, moved away from the profession, and a lot of the profession is a lot of burnout in that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and but I always, like I said, I always have cared about type 2 diabetes. When people would come into my pharmacy with it, I mean, I took special care of them because I know, being a type 2 diabetic myself, and a lot of the things that they're going through, a lot of the overwhelm that people face, like when they first get it, or questions that they have about their medications. And I still want to keep doing that because that's like I said, that's kind of that's kind of like my passion. I feel like that, maybe I, got type 2 diabetes to try to help others, try to use my own experience to help other people. So that's kind of what drives me.
So, what's the biggest misconception about managing type 2 diabetes or GLP-1 medications? Because I know there's a lot of misconceptions out there. A lot of us think a lot of things is not true. So, what are some of the most common ones or the big issues that you run
Yeah,
into?
some of the most common ones are that it's that type 2 diabetes is maybe that is totally based on like say like people eating like sweets. Now, while carbs do contribute to that, I mean, you can not eat sweets whatsoever and still have type 2 diabetes. That's one of the big myths that people believe, and they're like, well, if I just cut out like candy or cookies or whatever, which that's good, and you should limit that, but that in itself is not the cause of it. And then there's also like but some like genetic relationships to it, but it's not like absolutely. It's not like because my mama had it or my daddy had it, I'll have it. But you may have a higher propensity to get that if you don't like take care of yourself. You're more able to fall into it. There's somebody that may not have that direct of a family history of it. And that also that it's not the biggest thing is that, and is the thing why people feel overwhelmed, because people feel like maybe sometimes that's like, not saying it's a death sentence, but it's something just highly negative to their life, because people focus on what they believe they can't do or they can't eat, and that it's hard to do that, and it's hard to give up, like I have to give up this food and that food, and um,
Mhm.
and that's hard for people to do. Why I say that you do have to shift like your diet. I mean, I don't think that you necessarily be like something this thing you can't have whatsoever. You just have to maybe have it, and if you're able to, like in small amounts or less often, that you can have it. And then some people, and that just depends on the person. Some people, the only way they can do it, they can't do it like in small amounts, so they have to not have it whatsoever to keep from falling. And you'll have to like measure that for yourself. What's best for you. But I don't think that coming with the mindset of that I can't do this, I can't eat that, I can't eat this, doesn't really help as far as being able to get a hold of this disease. Just want people to know that is a disease and it's serious, because you have to take it serious, because the effect of blood glucose affects your entire body, affects all of your organs. The leading cause, like I said, the leading cause of amputation is because of complications to type 2 diabetes. That's by far the leading cause of amputations in this country, because people develop, they don't be able to take care of their type 2 diabetes, and then they develop like nerve pain, and then eventually it becomes where blood is not circulating whatsoever, and the tissues die, and especially in the foot, and then it has to be amputated. The leading cause of blindness is related to type 2 diabetes. Again, the diabetes blood sugar level gets high in the bloodstream and affects like your eyes. So that's like the leading cause of blindness is through relations of type 2 diabetes. So, you have to, and then people, even if they don't have amputation, people may experience nerve pain, which that's a big cause of that is related to type 2 diabetes as well. And of course, like kidney failure is a huge correlation between type 2 diabetes and kidney failure.
So how do you help people reverse diabetes, or does people think that's impossible? Or in your programs, how do you help them actually just get rid of the diabetes? Or is it something that's to stay?
It's something that I tell people, especially once diagnosed, you probably will always be a type 2 diabetic now, but you can live with it. It can be something that you can thrive in. You can, live, you can have it under such control that you may not need medications. You can be able to handle and thrive on it with just some lifestyle modifications. Some people have to have like medication to assist in that, and there's nothing wrong with that, because you have to do what you have to do to be able to keep your blood sugar levels, because of all the complications, under control. But you can there are ways that you can reduce, like if your blood sugar is out of control, you can make some lifestyle modifications to get your blood sugar under control, so that you won't have to keep increasing the doses of your medications or adding on another medication on top of a previous medication. So there are ways. That's one of the things, the good things about type 2 diabetes, is that it can be something that can be controlled and mitigated with, a lot of it is with lifestyle changes.
A lot of people, thank you for that information, because a lot of people think there's nothing you can do to control it, so they're just going to do whatever they want to do that makes them happy, because they think they can't control it. So thank you for that information, to let people know that it can be controlled. There are things that you can do to make sure that you still live a normal life and you can control it. So how do you help your clients stay consistent when life gets busy? Because we have a lot of excuses when it comes to busy life.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the important thing, and the thing that I have with the people who work with me is I sit down and I have the person kind of go over their life, their normal day, and and have them come up with things what they think would be challenges to them being able to be successful. And like I said, I always take people from where they are. Everybody's at a different stage.
Yeah.
Some people are doing things, some people are not doing anything whatsoever. But the thing is that to take you from there, what you need, and what I try to do is just try to have a a plan, a specific plan that they can implement like every day. That like they said that usually it takes like 21 days to build a habit. Um, I have a plan that it would be a minimum for people to get results is like minimum 3 months, but I would recommend someone to do it for up for a year. But anywhere between those two things would be optimum. So I have like a structured plan. Like I said, we look at we look at your challenges. We look at things that you can implement because it doesn't do any good if it's not something that you can implement into like your normal life. So we try to take all the things that what are your challenges. If someone works at night, then we will have to do stuff a little different than someone that works a 9 to 5. Or if someone has their someone's single, then if someone is got married and have 3 kids at home, we have to do things different. I mean, we have a overall structure that I use. I concentrate on just mindfulness is a big thing because regardless what stage you are in, that's probably the most important thing. It's just that if you can believe that you can control it, it's not a death sentence. It's something that you can, it's something that you can live with. That's that having that kind of positive mindset that does a lot because so much of our health is derived off of stress and namely like a hormone known as like cortisol, which cortisol is great when you have to run from like our ancestors, you have to run from a lion or a tiger to keep from getting eaten. I mean, that's great when humans lived that type of history where they had to hunt for their food entirely. So they had to have a flight or fight kind of thing that saved your life, literally. So that was good. But now that we don't live in that world like that, that cortisol is still triggering that fight or flight kind of response, and that the stress brings that up. Those levels go up, and the cortisol goes up. That brings up your blood sugar level because if you think about it, if you running, need to run away from a lion, you need to get the blood glucose into your legs so you can get out of there, or your arms so you can climb a tree to get up there, so you need that. So that's good. So your blood sugar has to go up then, it's life or death. But if you're spending 10 hours sitting at the desk and sitting at home, watching TV, and you're not facing any of those stress, but having that same cortisol and having your blood sugar elevated, it doesn't do you any good. It causes problems rather than solve problems. So, so I think like mindfulness is just a big thing because stress is such a big thing, and everybody now today we live in such a stressful time, and it's very easy to get stressed out over just a bunch of things that's going on right now. And being able to relieve stress and handle stress is probably like one of the bigger things because not only it helps with blood glucose, it helps also with like hypertension. If you have hypertension, a lot of times people that are type 2 diabetes, usually hypertension goes along with that as well. So usually just trying to do that with like having like mindfulness and trying to do like stress relief. My things also have a component of movement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that you have to run a marathon or something like that, or you have to go to the gym 7 days a week or something like that. But you do, our bodies are made to move. They're
Mm-hmm.
not made to be, stationary. Going back to again to the ancient times, they were made to, be able to run away from lions and tigers and things like that. So, what I would really like recommend and part of the program is trying to get some movement daily, even if it's like 5 or 10 minutes. If you're someone that's all you can do, then that's what we do, because that's better than zero. And then some people, a lot of people we recommend, and they're able to do like 30 minutes 5 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, and most of the thing, and the greatest thing about that is that when I work with people and they're like, well, do I have to go in the gym and lift this and do that or whatever? No, you don't. You don't. Um, the greatest thing is that the greatest tool that people have, as far as movement, is simply walking. You can do so
Yes.
much with walking that you don't have to, you can have, if you want to do those other stuff, like I'm not someone that's in there toting, 200 pounds, but if that you want to do that, that's fine, but you don't have to do that. It seems like that sometimes that's old is new again. Our ancestors and forefathers, and I don't know about yourself, but like in my family, like a lot of times when they had like a big meal, and I especially would notice it like when we got together, like during the holidays when I was a child, that usually unless the weather was really bad outside, people after they ate, they was like, well, let's walk around the block or walk down the street or whatever after the food. And people would talk and laugh and tell jokes and stuff. But actually that's actually just like pretty good, because the study showed that if you take a 10 to 15 minute walk, especially after you like your largest meal, that helps stabilize like your blood sugar, so you don't have that giant spike that a lot of times what people experience, especially when you eat a whole lot of food, and you get that spike, and then of course when you get that spike, you get that big crash, and then you start feeling tired and lethargic, and after you eat and stuff like that. But if the one of the biggest things, if you have like type 2 diabetes, is trying to limit those spikes, because those are the spikes. Those are the things that can cause the most damage and get you in trouble. So I try to work with patients and trying to, like, even if we don't do anything else, but if we can keep like those huge spikes from going, like the huge lows and huge highs, if we can kind of keep it in the middle there, even if it's a little bit elevated or a little bit below, that's fine. We just don't want those huge swings like that. That's where we have issues.
So when you created the Destroying Diabetes coaching program, what makes your approach different from traditional diabetes management? And do you find that you're more successful with some people with this program than other programs? Because sometimes
Well,
people just
yeah,
know how not to eat well. So
yeah. Yeah, well, it's a lot of the things is that the biggest thing, and I know I keep going back to it, is just having the mindset and the proper attitude. Because if you don't believe that you're going to change or anything's going to change, your chances of success is going to be limited in that. Like they said, you have like limiting beliefs, and they come about. But if you're open to change, if you're open to like a positive thing that, I may not get there, you know, in 3 months or 6 months, but I'm gonna be progressing toward my goals. Some people may take like 6 months and they have everything totally under control and normal blood glucose, and they can even reduce their medications. Some people that they may not get to that, they may still need medication, but they do have at least their glucose stabilized, and it's not going up where they have to add more medications, or they're not getting the big peaks and valleys like they do. It's more stable and more controlled, so they're not experiencing all of the side effects that they were experiencing previously when it was unchecked. A lot of it, like I said, a lot of it is going to depend on just the mentality. And then the thing with my thing with the program is that I'm being a type 2 diabetic. Most of the challenges that people face, I've faced myself. I've faced the challenge of being able to eat better and not eating better. I've faced the challenge of when being in the healthcare industry, especially in the high stress job, and difficulty in being able to eat that's going to be helpful to me as a type 2 diabetic. There's stuff that's going to trigger more problems rather than reduce the problems. And I know that's a challenge for people, and know there's a challenge of just having the disease and feeling like there's nothing I can do to make it better, or I'm stuck with this, and so I might as well just like you said, I'll just eat what I want and not move or anything like that, or not make sure I get a good amount of sleep. And which that's also another component of our thing is like sleep hygiene. If you poor sleep, again, poor sleep triggers our old friend cortisol and stress. If you're not getting a proper amount of sleep, your cortisols are elevated. So then you have all of the same things: the high blood sugar, high blood pressure, all those things make yourself more at risk for cardiovascular disease as well. And also, other things like inflammation, which is a big problem because cortisol triggers inflammation as well. And inflammation has all sorts of things, like with high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, even some cancers are linked to high inflammation as well. GI problems, just a lot of the run the gamut is traced back to that. So being able to put ourselves in positions where we can, lower the cortisol, lower the inflammation, reduce stress. Those things go a long way in controlling like your blood sugar, and then also probably some of the other symptoms that you may have, like the hypertension and stuff like that as well, that might be related to it.
So how do you bridge the gap between medical knowledge and real world action? Because a lot of times people need more real world action than medical knowledge,
Yeah.
in order to accomplish something.
Oh yeah. So that's kind of the way that I go about it. Even though I have the medical background, I kind of try not to use that so much unless I need to define that terminology or break down the definition of that for someone to understand. Sometimes people will come to me and they have like their lab tests, and the doctors don't really explain what's going on. So sometimes I have to explain what A1C, what that means, and why it's important. I try to approach it, and sort of like I think about my father, that how I would like someone to talk to him about it, when he was alive and he was going through it. So I always come from that kind of perspective, and like I said, just being in having it for 20 years plus, I've kind of experienced most of the emotions that other people have experienced, and I know how hard it is to go in there. I know, like, the feeling like sometimes I didn't always take care of it, and my condition worsened, and it got to the point one time that my doctor told me, it's like, if you don't get this under control, it's like you're going to challenge yourself to see like your son graduate, because you're just going down the wrong path. And that was kind of like my second wake up call. after that to be told that from my primary care provider. And so I know how it is with that, and I know that that people can feel, and they shouldn't, but that people can feel like shame and embarrassment. And I try not to, I make sure not to do that. I come from a place of understanding, and if someone had setbacks and didn't take care of it before, it's no need to chastise somebody about it. It's like, well, that's where it is before. Let's come up with a plan so we can go forward in the future. The past is the past. And so I just always try to make a emphasis on that we are moving forward. We're not, looking back, we're just moving forward from this point on. So, that we can, gain a better outcome, and, we can, the health can always improve, no matter what stage that you're in.
So what are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced, and how did you manage it? Because sometimes people can hear you talk about those kinds of things and then say, oh, okay, I can do this too. You can be a champion for someone else.
Yeah. Well, the biggest challenge which I have, and I'm sure that happened to most people, is just with diet. I've had challenges where I haven't eaten the best, and especially in being in a high stress profession, it's easier to grab something bad because it's all around you than to get something that's going to be healthier for you. So I know about the challenges. I know that we're totally bombarded by junk food and fast food. It's everywhere around us. It's you can't really avoid it, but what I try to work with is like develop strategies and things to handle it. It's not like that I'm not going to go the thing that you're not going to be tempted by a Big Mac or fries or a milkshake or something like that, and a bag of candy, because all that stuff is all around us. It's all around us. It's advertised around us. I mean, you can't walk 10 feet without a fast food place or a place that has a bunch of junk food in it and stuff like that. But it's harder to find like a carrot or celery stick or something like that. You're like, can the brother find a carrot stick somewhere? That's
That is so true. You can find 10, 12 versions of potato chips.
Yeah.
Not a carrot or an apple or an orange. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
So we know that finding good food is always has been a big challenge, no matter what your health is. Even if you eat healthy, finding good food is a challenge. That's one thing that as you just said, that's something for those of you who are listening, is you got to figure out where you find your good food and then just go there and get your good food. Okay. Say no to the potato chips. Say no to the potato chips.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes I think they do that on purpose, but that's just my 2 cents.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, it's all the thing everything like the grocery store where they stock the stuff is on purpose. That's why they tell you, like, if you're trying to do like a healthier living, to work the outside of the aisles, not the middle. The middle is like where usually most of the bad stuff is. That's where most people go to. So they like usually, like, if you want healthier options, you have to work the kind of the outside, because that's usually where the produce is and some of the healthier things. So that's like, so that's really like the way that they structure and they put the stuff up is for that and stuff. And even the way they place stuff on the shelf, usually like a lot of times the stuff that's really bad for you is usually like make sure that it's like below, like it's like eye level or below, like it's never like at the bottom or the very top or the very bottom. It's usually right there where you can think. And it's also there that kids can grab the stuff off that, when they're like in the grocery cart, they can grab the stuff and put it in the cart.
So for those of you who are listening, we understand why you're driven toward that. But stay on the outer aisles and get your produce first and your foods that are good for you first. Okay. And then pay for those and take those to the car. And then if you still want to go back in for potato chips, which you won't want to do that, then you can do that then. But you are so right. I just thought about it as you were talking about it. I said, see, it's so right. That's why I keep getting that chocolate candy over there.
Yeah. They make sure that's like on eye level or right there where you can see it.
Right. So besides the food, finding good food quickly or even regularly is a challenge for some people who live in food deserts. So what do they do? Because they generally don't have access to good food.
Yeah. And that's one of our biggest challenges. I know that some places are like more forward thinking. I know that in the area that I live in Durham, that even our local farmer markets, that they take like they take SNAP benefits, so that people are not limited. That if you have that, you can use that to buy like healthy produce. I know that that's one of the biggest challenges out there, and I just wish that more of our local governments realize that, and some governments are doing that, and others are kind of dragging their feet. But even if you in something that's maybe somewhat of food status, even within the bad choices, there are some choices that are less bad than other choices. So usually try to move toward that, try to get the lesser bad choice. That's going to thing, not try to get the very worst thing out there. And I know that's just that's a huge challenge, unfortunately. I wish that governments and people will make it a priority that people would have access to produce, healthy, fresh produce anywhere. And now that some of our the medical community is starting to shift somewhat, as some more and more people are realizing that the approach of food as being medicine is a lot less expensive than say like a GLP-1 shot. That's like that's like $1,000, $1,200 a month for a box of pens for that. Then if you could get them like healthy, produce for a couple of, $100 or whatever, healthy foods, that's a lot less expensive. And then, a lot more to help, prevent the chronic diseases that people will have to show up in the emergency room or in the doctor's office later. That's a lot more expensive to treat. So some people are slowly moving toward that. I think that's a movement that's kind of growing, and I hope that that's kind of the shift that I'm hoping for, because that's someone told me like a long time ago is that you can't out exercise a bad diet. So the diet is the key. The exercise is important too, but if you had to choose one or the other, the diet would be more important.
That's a good saying too. You cannot over exercise a bad diet. I know I've noticed a lot of people also are beginning to grow some of their own food in their backyard, and that could help too when you can't get good produce. Fortunately for both of us, we can get some good produce, but we still got to stay away from the aisles with the sweets.
Yeah.
We still do that. So If someone is listening right now and feeling hopeless about their diagnosis, what message would you give them?
I would give the message that it's not, it's not a death sentence. I know it's overwhelming because most of us have had family members that had type 2 diabetes, and people may have, suffered with that. They may have, lost limbs because of it, or went blind, or led to other events, cardiovascular events that led to their passing. And I know that it's hard because people think about that. I certainly thought about that when I was diagnosed. I thought about my father, and that what he went through and lived with. But my thing is that the biggest focus is, like I said, is just having the mindset that this is a chronic disease and I do need to take it seriously, but it's not me. It's not going to control my life. I'm going to make adjustments in my lifestyle to mitigate the disease. May even, some people are even into the point that they can, be off of medicine or reduce medicine or not have to go on medicine. But it's something that, just know in mind that it's something that you probably always will have to contend with. But it's plenty of people, myself included, and others that, live with this disease and drive, in spite of it. A lot of it, like I said, it's just a lot of it is like your mentality, being able, like I said, being able to have a positive mentality, being able to limit or reduce stress is a big thing. Getting a proper amount of sleep is a big thing. Being able to make changes in the diet, being able to incorporate movement. All those things are crucial in being able to try to like mitigate or reduce the chronic effect of type 2 diabetes. But you're not alone. I think that if you it helps if some people, you may not have some people in the immediate family that may be very understanding of it. So there's plenty of support groups. I speak to different support groups throughout the year. So that there are support groups, people that are in the same shoes that you are. And there's so many resources. One of the good things about the internet is that there are so many resources to help that's available online for no cost. There's even, like support groups and things that you can do, even if you don't have somebody maybe in your area, or you live in an area that's maybe like rural and you might not have somebody, but there's a lot of virtual support groups that you can join, that all you need is just be able to get online and you can, be in a support group. If you make sure that you have, good primary care provider that's going to be a partner with you. You have to kind of have a team. You have like your, hopefully your friends and family, people that are close to you, and you have your primary care team, and that includes like your provider, and also like your if you are on medication, your pharmacist, and you may have, other people, you may have like, physical therapists if you have some physical issues or something like that. And, you may have podiatrists if you have some issues with your feet, also your ophthalmologist, that's very important with your eyes, because that's, like I said, the leading cause of blindness. So you need to make sure that you have a diabetic eye exam, if you're able to, because that's a little different than the normal eye exam. It's more detailed and more in depth. So they're looking to see if diabetes is affecting like your eyesight, especially like glaucoma, and also things affecting like your retinas are probably like the biggest things that type 2 diabetes can affect.
So since you've had your podcast, how many people have you been able to inspire to take care of themselves so that they can take care of their diabetes?
I don't know if I have an exact number. I mean, I get emails from time to time. But everyone that I get, I'm just so proud of, and I'm just passing information, and really the purpose of my podcast is to hopefully inspire people that have this disease, to provide like tools for them to use in their life to help with it. And then a lot of times I try to have experts in different areas to come on and kind of decipher some of the stuff that they may be exposed to and give some information about that as well. So, I'm always, I'm just always happy. Like I said, as long as I have like at least one person, then it's worth it. Only one person changes. That's worth it, and that's what I thrive on. I just thrive on being able to get people to, make changes and say like, now I have my diabetes under control. My readings were like in the 300s. My A1C was double digits, and now it's single digits. And I don't rarely get above 200 now. So, I mean, in rare occasions. And doctors wonder what I've done, and I just follow what you said, Dr. Hersey. And that's what gives me just the joy, and that's why I do it, because like I said, I've been in their shoes, and if you don't have to be in these shoes, we can stop it before it starts. That's the big thing. So you don't even have to go down this path.
Right. So let the audience know what your website is and your email so that they can reach out to you and work with you.
Okay. My website is masteryourglp.com. That's for if you're interested in our like the coaching program or trying to get assistance. And then also I have the same website, masteryourglp.com and /reset. I'm getting ready to start next week. What I do from time to time is that we do like a 10-day blood glucose reset, and that's totally like free. So if you want to join us, we're going to be starting another one next week. I think next Monday for 10 days.
Give us that website again if they can reach you there.
Okay, so it's masteryourglp.com and then /reset.
Okay.
And so that one is just for the 10-day reset. And like I said, that is like free. I'll give like information to you, online that you can use, and tips for like the to kind of guide you for that 10-day reset. It kind of get your blood glucose kind of get it stabilized. And I wanted to do this like before the holidays, so maybe you can get it stabilized before the holidays, and then if you want to continue on past the holidays and work with me, I can work with you, through the holidays. I know that this time of year is very challenging for everybody because you have all the, starting with Halloween this week, and then Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and then New Year's Eve. I mean, I know that it's a challenge to kind of stay on track in that time. And like I said, so I'm trying to do like a 10-day reset now before Thanksgiving, and we may do another one before Christmas. So just stay tuned for that. But we're definitely doing one starting next Monday. So if you want to sign up for that, just go to that website and you provide an email address and your contact information, and we'll get that information to you. And then the email address is Hersey, HERSEY, help at gmail.com. If you have any questions, anything, just feel free to shoot me an email, and I'll respond to it. I don't have somebody that does it. I actually answer all my emails. So, and no question is it's considered dumb or whatever. Just anything, because we all need to get like information. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. If you any question that you have about type 2 diabetes, I'll be willing to answer.
And give us that Gmail address again.
Okay, it's Hersey, HERSEY, help at gmail.com.
Okay, guys, I know that you, if you don't need the information, know that you have some friends and relatives and some other people you know that actually need this information. This is incredibly important, and he will get you started on the right path, and you'll be surprised how much you can do, especially when you have a group of people to talk to who have the same kind of issues. That generally helps us. We get through things. So I want to thank you for being my guest tonight. This is an exceptionally good topic because I have family members that do have diabetes and friends that have diabetes. I guess I'm one of the lucky ones. I don't have diabetes. My mother used to say I just had a bad attitude, but that's okay. But it is a disease that's happening, and it's rampant through the African American community. So be sure that you go back and listen to this podcast or reach out so that you can get the information. And I want to encourage you to actually be a part of his reset. So with that, we're going to close today's podcast. The podcast will be out for everyone to listen to on all the platforms. So if you miss some information, you can get it. As a matter of fact, you can get it now off of YouTube. So I want to encourage you to go to Hersey Help at gmail.com and then do the reset. Go to masteryourglp.com/reset. Okay? And have some fun with that. So you have any last words for us before we end?
Like I said, I just be glad. Like my main goal is to give information, help people to make informed decisions, to encourage people. I know that's one of the biggest things because I know that a lot of times when you hear diabetes, that you're scared. You're scared because, like I said, most of us have had people in our family with that disease and seen some of the bad effects of it. But it is something you can live with. It's something you can thrive with. You just need the right tools. So, and like I said, I can work with anybody. The good thing about my services that they're virtual, so anybody with an internet connection can work with me. And I thank you for letting me get on your show today, and hopefully we can spread some information to help someone else.
Yes, we will. And thank you very much for all that you do, because this is a very important thing that you do for all Americans and for all people. So thank you for that. We really need something like this. And as we close the day, as I always say, may this day offer you just what you need in each unfolding moment. I want you to trust your greatness and embrace your power. With the right pair of shoes, y'all know I can accomplish anything. I want you to be inspired until further notice. Just celebrate everything. Do not go gently into that good night. I want you to find a hero worth dying for and take it, and be the person that you have been waiting for. And above all else, make today so awesome that yesterday gets jealous, and I want you to do it your way. For life is far too short to drink cheap champagne. You all have a great evening. Bye now.
Feeling stuck in a career maze? Unlock Your Potential is the cheat code. Flip a page, and it's like leveling up in a video game. No boss fights, just pure empowerment. Packed with real talk on smashing biases and owning your path, it's the sidekick every minority woman needs. Think of it as your personal hype squad in book form. Dive in now and start your glow up journey.
But life's too short to drink cheap champagne, so I decided to buy me a better brand to taste with my